Good morning, and today we will be learning King Pawn Endgames. We have seen multiple times that we have an extra pawn, but somehow we end up in a draw. So, today we will cover a very small but full tutorial to how to win in King Pawn positions if the position is winnable at all. Okay, so we will be doing something called as key squares exercise. So, the key squares are mostly defined by the opposition you can take or the opposition your opponent can resist, and the key principle here is the winning side should get the opposition and then he can promote to the queens very easily. There are a couple of exceptions, we will discuss that as well in the video, so keep watching the full video and let's start. Right, so this is the position, it is white to play, and as I said, we have to make sure a way to get the opposition. So the first thing to remember in a king pawn endgame is that the king should be ahead of our pawn. So the way to do that is, if we go here, king sits here, and then we might not have many chances to get opposition or move the pawn, or we'll lose the opposition very easily. If you want to try, we'll do king here, he'll do king here, we get the king here, he goes away, but we don't have any opportunity to move the pawn. So the right way to play here is to put the king here. Now see, as we were talking about opposition, let's get the opposition. And he moved away. So now we are making away a square to move our pawn. Now let's get the opposition again. Let's move ahead. Now he comes here, but our pawn is fully guarded. Since we push here, he cannot attack the pawn. So we just push the pawn. Here, if we push the pawn, he goes back. We can get the opposition again. So let me just show that. Move the king, get away, and no one can stop promoting from the queen. Right. So the first one was pawn on the second rank version. This one is pawn on the third rank version. You can see the third rank. Let's start. Our goal is to get the opposition. So king should be ahead of the pawn. And if we put the king here, he comes here, we push the pawn, he will lose the opposition. So that works for us very well. Okay, he just went away. We push the side and guard the pawns. We can push the pawn because if he goes back, we get the opposition again. So we push the pawn, we get the opposition, we move away, and the pawn is just guarded and it will go on to become a queen. Right. So this is one more version, pawn on the fourth rank. So this looks pretty straightforward because pawn is already promoted to the fourth place, and if we just move the king here and we get oppositions continuously, we should be easily win this position. Okay. The pawn is guarded. If we push the pawn, he goes back. We can get the opposition, so let's push the pawn, get the opposition, get away, and push the pawn. Easy win. Pawn on the fifth rank. One more tutorial. So here it can get a little tricky because if we go here, he puts here, and then we'll just lose our opposition. But since there are flanks are covered, we should be doing okay. So first way is to push here. If he comes back, we get the opposition and kick him out. Yep, let's get the opposition, kick him out, push the king in, just push the pawn and get the queen done. Now this is a pawn on the sixth rank tutorial. This becomes slightly trickier, but let's see how it goes. Can you see the straightforward move? Just push, king gets away, push and promote. Push, and we are doing okay. That's very easy one. Now this is a tough one, and it is an exception because king is in the corner and there is a chance of stalemate if we push the pawn. So the way here is, he has only king to move, we have king and pawn to move. We have to make sure of a way that his king gets out of the way and let us promote the pawn. If we put the king here, he just puts the pawn here, we cannot push, no progress at all. If we put the king here, he just sits here. We go back, he goes here, and again there is no progress. So the only move is to remember here is to get the king back. And now the only move again here is to get the king on this side. He has to get out because if he goes here, we just push the pawn. He goes here, we push the pawn again, and he has to come out. So ultimately this position will reach. We get the king up, push the pawn, get the queen, and we should be winning right away. This is one more exception. This is pawn on the 5th rank. But again, the king is opposing us. So what can we do, right? We have to get the king out of this way, because if he goes here, we just get into a draw. So what to do? How to do that? If we get the king here and he gets out of the way, we can just go ahead. But if we get the king here, he'll go here. Then we might have trouble, but then there is the pawn push we have. So let's go here. Okay, why did he go there? Because if he goes here, we just push the pawn. He has to come here. We push the pawn again. The square is locked, so he has to come out. So essentially, that's what he did. We just get the opposition, push the pawn, and win the match. Now, this is very straightforward, as most of you know. Pawn on the 7th rank, just push the king nearby, promote it to queen. Now, this can get a little tricky because if we push the pawn recklessly and he comes and sits here, then there is a draw chance. The key here is to get the king, lock the position, just push the pawn properly. It's always to get opposition. Now, as a white, we have to stop the position. Now, why can't we stop it? Because his king is not ahead. So we just have to go and sit here, and this is his last square. He cannot force a win here. So if we go here, he'll just come back, and even then we can force a draw, but it is better to retreat very fast. So we go here, pushes the pawn, we go and sit here, and we sit here or capture the pawn, doesn't matter since it's going to be a draw. So we sit here and it's a draw. Right, now any key square by any root. So as we said, king should be ahead, we should have opposition. So let's try to do those things. If he comes and sits here and gets the opposition, then we are doomed. So let's try to do that. Let's try to get real fast above pawn. Now if we sit here, he'll just go back here and the same chain will continue. So we will go here first, get the opposition, move aside, get the opposition, move aside, push the pawn, get the opposition, move aside, push the pawn, and then there is queen. So these are a few ways to promote your queen in a king pawn endgame. I hope you liked the video. Please subscribe for more such content. Thank you so much.